Hey, what's going on, AP World? We have a review of one of the most important court cases in U.S. history, Dred Scott versus Sanford. If you're looking at Sanford and you're thinking to yourself, I've seen that spelled two ways, Sanford and Sandford. That is correct. And the reason why is the Supreme Court misspelled Sanford during the court case. They spelled it with a D. It's actually spelled this way without a D. Just a little fact of the day for you. All right, so let's start talking about this case. Who was Dred Scott? Well, Dred Scott, here's a portrait of him. His wife and two daughters were slaves of a U.S. military doctor, and this doctor's name was Dr. Emerson. Now, prior to Dr. Emerson's death, Scott traveled with him in different areas of the country, including Illinois, which is a free state, and Wisconsin, which is a free territory. So he goes into a state which forbids slavery and a territory which forbids slavery. Both of those go back to the Northwest Land Ordinance of 1787, which forbids slavery in the Old Northwest. So Dr. Emerson is going to die in the early 1840s, and Scott will sue for his freedom on his behalf and his family's behalf. And eventually it makes its way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court hopes to address the issue of slavery once and for all. They actually thought they had a chance to settle the issue of slavery. Boy, were they ever wrong. All right, so Supreme Court's decision. Chief Justice Roger B. Taney wrote the majority opinion and stated the following. There was Roger B. 1. African Americans, and it did not matter if they were free or slave, were not citizens and could not sue in court. So immediately, millions of African Americans, again, whether they were free or slaves, were not citizens and were not entitled to any of the rights that citizens are entitled to. Huge ramifications. Number 2, slaves were considered property, and therefore they could not be taken away without due process. And the Fifth Amendment says that individuals cannot be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. So not only are slaves not citizens, they are property. This is a double blow to African Americans. And finally, the Missouri Compromise was deemed unconstitutional. Now, it was overturned essentially with the Kansas Nebraska Act, but it kind of reinforces that. And it says that Congress could not regulate slavery in territories. And if we remember the Missouri Compromise line, it's this 3630 latitude line here in the Louisiana Purchase. So all of this green up here, this Missouri Territory, circa 1812, should have been free. But according to Roger B. Taney in the Supreme Court, that was unconstitutional. So three significant rulings as a part of the Dred Scott case. Okay, so let's talk about the impact of the ruling. Tensions will drastically increase between the North and the South. Many in the North are shocked at this. They cannot believe what the Supreme Court just did. And many jump on the abolitionist bandwagon if they were not already on there. Stephen Douglas, a senator from Illinois, is dead set against this, and in his famous Freeport Doctrine speech, he stated that he believed territories could not enforce the decision if they didn't want to, and this will split the Democratic Party along sectional lines, guaranteeing in 1860 that a Democrat will not win the presidential election. If you want more info on the Freeport Doctrine, check out the link in the description, which has a video on the Lincoln-Douglas debates. And then in order for African Americans to become citizens, a new Supreme Court case or an amendment would be needed. That's the only way you can change a Supreme Court decision. And we'll see after the Civil War, thankfully, the 14th Amendment will come along, which granted citizenship to African Americans. All right, that's everything you need to know about Dred Scott versus Sanford. Thank you very much for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. If you found this video helpful, please help spread the word. Put it on Twitter, Facebook, any social media outlet that you can. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good day, guys.